Welcome to the Living Connected podcast. I'm your host, Mallory Meyer, a multi-six-figure entrepreneur, founder of White Wolf Reiki, and a former corporate HR professional turned polyvagal-informed leadership and neuro coach, Reiki master, educator, and international speaker. In this podcast, we explore the intricate connection between our nervous system and our performance, productivity, and well-being. I'm here to guide organizations, leaders, and founders in enhancing performance, fostering a psychologically safe workplace, and building teams with high retention that thrive. Let's future-proof your business, raise team morale, and prevent burnout. Join me weekly as we tap into discussions around regulating the nervous system, rewiring the mind, and enhancing wealth and success, with a splash of my love for energy healing and magic woven in as well. Here's to choosing to live more connected. So this week's episode is actually a bit inspired and an ode to my Starbucks barista, because this week I've been venturing over there for my morning coffees and have been receiving such beautiful notes on the lids of my coffee cup. And this one specifically this morning was around just like having a nice day. And the reason why I'm focusing this episode around building upon the kindness, the sweet gesture that this Starbucks barista extended is because really reminding you as well that beyond it being cool to be kind, there is so much power in kindness in our ability to actually biohack our body. And this is what we're going to tap into, because you all know just simply being here that I'm here to walk beside you and your team in navigating and designing employee cultures that are rooted in well-being, enhancing your nervous system, rewiring your mind for greater levels of communication, retention, and productivity. And this starts in our ability to start to alleviate our stress and really bring back these keys, these elements, these resources that are all within us. So I'm also going to be slightly sharing with you as well some insights from this week's workshop that I delivered with a team in a health authority, which I just am so grateful and humbled to have had that opportunity. And really, again, share some of these opportunities for you to start to implement, whether in your day-to-day or with your teams as well. So let's just start off with kindness, because ultimately, kindness isn't just nice, it's actually a wellness practice. We all need a little more kindness in the world. And ultimately, with this element of how it becomes a wellness practice is when we are in these states other than like fight or flight, with being in a stressful, activated threat physiology, but also just maybe perhaps whether it's receiving an email, having some overwhelm reside within you in all the tasks that you need to complete. Maybe it's just stress in everything that's ahead and everything that's upcoming. Regardless of what is creating the stress for you, what happens is our cortisol levels begin to rise. Yet when we engage with this simple act of kindness, it immediately triggers a release of our endorphins. And so this is ultimately that feel-good chemical, the body's natural feel-good chemical, without eating the delicious pizza or having the sugar come into your body, but to alleviate that stress and boost your well-being. So just even in these random small acts, we can really start to witness how we are biohacking our body for greater happiness, for greater health in these simple gestures. So if you're listening to this, if you haven't even done an act of kindness today, step in and just think, what's something so small, so simple, like writing a little note on the coffee cup of someone that, if you are a barista, extending that to them. Great marketing with Starbucks, as always, again, that they have, whether it's not getting the names right or doing these small little gestures, or maybe it was just really a genuine act of kindness from this individual. So also just to tap in with kindness, and what's really wanting to come through as well is recognizing when we are in these states and when we extend not only kindness, but back into like our nervous system in allowing these endorphins to come forward to elicit a greater sense of happiness, of health, maybe even some greater sense of peace as we start to counteract the stress that we are having invoked within ourselves, we really start to bring in this new level of compassion and empathy for others' behaviors. And the reason why I'm just called to bring this forward is we, as individuals, being whether you are a founder, even a leader, a coach, an entrepreneur, there are always external circumstances and individuals who have their experiences, have their behaviors that will unfold and impact us. And it's really in our own ability to choose at this point in time how deeply are we going to allow this to shift our own physiology, to create a narrative, to hold a specific perception, and really begin to ultimately go down this path of rumination. And it's very much like a clear example could be, let's say you had, this is more on the coaching lens, but let's say you just had a really wonderful sales call with someone and you closed it up with an affirmation of, from this individual, I'm investing in you, I'm going to get everything ready. I'll have, like, if you send me the payment link, I'll have this paid by end of day. And then you don't hear from them. They don't actually execute. Maybe a day goes by and then you're called to follow up. And in that follow up, they might not even respond. And this is how quickly we can start to really also get caught up in that narrative, get caught up in like the reasons as to maybe perhaps why we didn't necessarily hold that process to the strongest, highest level that we could have. Or maybe then we get into the thought of, don't they have a level of courage or maybe a level of respect even for us to be able to simply provide us with the feedback, with the acknowledgement, with the response. And this is really where we can come back into the place of kindness to allow us to biohack, to allow us to step in and not be so embedded with stress, because this is where we are not the same person when we are in a dysregulated state. And so it's just so important to have this compassion over ourselves, to bring this subtle, swift awareness forward. And equally so, as I'm on this note, I just get flooded with so many different messages sometimes when I'm on these topics, is reminding you in the moment that you have choice. And this is actually one of the core elements of our nervous system too, is it loves to not only have context, but it also loves to have choice in the sense of agency, inviting in options and not self-blaming. So supporting you through the health, through your own regulation, through strengthening up your own abilities in allowing you to again engage in your parasympathetic branch, your rest and digest, in having the choice to say, not self-blaming, I did everything that I needed to. Even if you are someone managing a team and maybe you had someone have an outburst, it's really just giving the options again of now how can I go back and repair. And there's another episode I've done on this Living Connected podcast where it talks about repairing and bringing in more opportunities to support individuals from a trauma sensitive lens. I digressed a bit there, but as always, just bringing this back, one final sentiment that I want to share about kindness is it really reminds me to having this ability to not only anchor ourselves into these quick, simple ways to biohack our own bodies, the science with it. It was also very clear to me around the polyvagal goals and within inviting polyvagal insights into our world, having that integrated and embodied, one of its core goals is to actually support us to feel a greater sense of safety, to then allow us to bring in more social connection to the world around us. And what a beautiful gesture in that act of kindness that can begin to evoke. And honestly, calling a spade, that we are in a world that really seems and oftentimes to be driven by competition, by self interest, even by division, which is why it's more important than ever to remember the fundamental value of kindness. And very much so, just outside of what I've already mentioned, the benefits of kindness, but why being kind to other human beings is really so crucial in that ripple effect to see positive change in our lives and in society. So, some points that additionally I really want to infuse in this conversation in this episode today is recognizing how, with kindness, it is key to fostering empathy and connection with others. So, I really want you to, as you likely are a founder or an executive leader, recognizing when we practice kindness, we also recognize and honor the shared experiences, the struggles, and the aspirations that truly make us fundamentally human. It allows us to see beyond our differences and start to bridge that divide, to build bridges of understanding. By cultivating empathy and connection, we truly create this sense of belonging and just forge a deeper relationship that can allow us to enrich our lives and equally strengthen our communities or our teams. Maybe you are someone building an online community. There is just so much profound ripple effects and impact. Equally so, like we've essentially already talked about too, allowing kindness to really be beneficial in enhancing the mental and emotional well being of ourselves and that within others. We talked about it, reducing stress, really bringing in that happiness juice within your body to help to support you with those endorphins. So, really being mindful of what you can do, whether for yourself or for others, with kindness and simply alongside that, allowing it to nurture a culture of compassion. And the word compassion has just taken on such a different meaning in its context for what it holds and what it means to me through polyvagal theory. We need to be not just a judge, but a witness, and to stay on our side in our journey in what we are witnessing. And that begins with compassion, embracing compassion, but also kindness as a core value, and really just seeing again how that can influence our policies, our institutions, and even systems to create a more inclusive and equitable world. So I hope, at least again, within today's episode, whether this was just a gentle reminder, an aha moment, something that you are just going to be more mindful and aware of in your interactions and in your practices moving forward today, because let's really strengthen this element of well-being and nurturing our own selves and our own health, and not necessarily giving that power away either to others. So, moving forward just a little bit around one of the unbelievable, and though it's not necessarily unbelievable to me, unbelievable to those that received it in this workshop that I held this past week. And I've been delivering what I call these productivity wealth accelerator sessions. And it's very intended within 15 minutes to support your team, to support each individual in alleviating stress and really activating the parasympathetic nervous system through not only a down-regulating breathing technique that I invite forward, but alongside that, really for empowering exercises and practices that engage are not only the brainstem, but truly the vagus nerve to then signal to our parasympathetic that I am here, I am safe, and I am allowing my prefrontal cortex to come online to essentially be more focused and be more productive. So that was just so, so beautiful to witness, to see. These are continuing to be extended to specific organizations, at least within the BC region, because in person is just so much more potent, and having this accessibility to really respond and also support each individual in real time, in real life, but then also having this opportunity to just be in the presence of that gratitude to allow them to now bring in more repetition and more familiarity and really understanding their own state of being. Because that's all in this whole journey, I feel and truly believe that we are on, that is what we are here, just to get a better grasp, a better understanding, a better sense of what are the keys the keys as in, as I say this, like that I can bring forward for myself in unlocking my new layers, my new levels within me to be the most authentic, to be the most genuine, to be the most present in my relationships and with the experiences that I hold in my life. It really is inviting in a new sense of liberation, a new sense of freedom, this new sense of awareness. And I'm just always just so overjoyed and so grateful not only to have this gift to be able to share it with teams, but very much so with my one-to-one clients and to just relish and marvel not only in how the deeper that they are bringing in a greater sense of regulation. There's actually specific measures and trackers that we follow that really signify how they are growing to be able to see the capacity by which they are holding greater nuance, greater clients, greater wealth in their world, and just recognizing that they are essentially self leading as well, and understanding beyond the mind of these beautiful modalities and really identifying blind spots that the mind just wants to present. So normal, but also that our thoughts are not necessarily contrived and they begin with our mind. It commences within our body. And that's really where it's always coming back into how can we realign your physiology with the appropriate techniques based on your states as to where you are to begin to start to then allow yourself to rewire, allow yourself to have greater sense of agency, of choice, to make the most empowered beliefs, decisions, and behaviors where you are just so grounded and rooted into who you are as well. And that's just a sense of peace that is essentially undescribable in a way. Now, one last kind of piece here. This was intended to be a short episode, and I'm just seeing how we are kind of coming around to our regular time of a 15 to 20-minute blip. But ultimately, there has been so much that I have learned in my own business journey in cultivating and creating irresistible online events. And this is really a response to the demand and the questions and the invitations that have been asked by me to hold and curate something like this. So I'm really excited to share that on February 15th, the link will be in the show notes. I'm holding this beautiful, beautiful experience. It is intended to be anywhere, depending on the amount of registrations that we receive, but anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes, maybe even 2 hours, because I want you to walk away from crafting your irresistible online event with one that you are ready to implement. It goes beyond just slapping together these thoughts and this piece of value that you want to extend with your audience. There is so much more strategy embedded into it. And when I really started to understand this, that is where they have become the most magical, the most fun, the most joyful and blissful, while also the most converting in creating greater income and greater impact in my business. So I can't wait to share with you, like I mentioned, everything that I know and really give you an opportunity to ask questions, to dive into almost like one-to-one support. And each will have their hot seat coaching and questions and opportunities to bring forward that to which they need the support in. So don't miss it. Again, this is a steal. It is happening February 15th. Outside of that masterclass next week, we have the week of February 19th, Reiki Level 2. If you are certified in Reiki Level 1 in Asui and Karuna, I invite you to explore this invitation to take things further and really receive the placement of the Holy Fire. It is so deeply effective and it continues to work alongside you. The frequency is unlike anything that you will have experienced as of yet. So there are still spots open if you are curious, if you'd like to join. Details of that are also in the show notes, and otherwise, opportunities to secure your one-to-one introductory call to see, for one, if this is a mutual fit with where you're at, or if you are curious in exploring customized workshops, even a wealth session to bring into your organization as well. Let's chat. Link is in the bio of the show notes. Have a beautiful week ahead, and as always, stay regulated. Let me just take a moment to share something that has truly elevated my mornings and helped me start my day on a greater, calm, focused, even with a punch of veggies note. I've integrated Plant People gummies into my morning routine, and their products have become an essential part of my self care. What I really find sets Plant People apart is their commitment to quality and transparency. It's a natural and plant based approach to self care that aligns perfectly with my values. But the greatest part about it is whether it's been a tea, a gummy, or even their spreads, they don't compromise on taste. So, who doesn't like treating yourself to a moment of indulgence while nourishing your well being? And I do have something special for you, the listeners here. Plant People is offering an exclusive discount. You can use the code MALMEYER, and I should say it's mal.meyer at checkout to enjoy 15% off your order. You won't want to miss this opportunity, and you can find those full details in the link in the show notes below.